Okay, boys, so here we go. And girls, as we know, I'm not exclusive on this. This is an absolutely critical lesson, and this lesson is going to give you and reveal an absolute lie that we've been living in, right? Our popular culture has us believe that leadership is the key to being on a high functioning team, right? All of us have that vision of that charismatic leader. For me, it's George Washington crossing the Potomac with his knee up on the front of that ship as they rowed across the river. And in reality, that doesn't work. If you try to get onto a high functioning team by being the leader of that team, you will always fail and always be excluded. There are a series of steps that you have to follow. And if you don't follow these steps, you will never be included in a high functioning team. From my experience, I've been on some of the highest functioning teams in the world. And beyond that, I've been able to move into a position of leadership and management where I've gotten to manage and lead some of the highest functioning teams in the world as a SEAL. And my progression to that role was not through leadership. Now I'm going to let that settle in. My progression onto managing some of the highest functioning teams of the world was not through leadership. This should be completely different from what you understand the key parts to leadership are. And so within this short lesson, what we're going to do is reveal the secrets. What I mean by secrets is a key progression that you have to follow in order to be included on some of the highest functioning teams in the world. And these are fundamentally sound. It doesn't matter if we're applying this to your business, if we're applying this to your life, if we're applying this to your personal life, it doesn't matter. The same principles apply. And so we're going to start with that original lie, that being that charismatic leader is your ticket onto high functioning teams. And that's absolutely fundamentally wrong. The first part of being able to be included on a high functioning team is not about leadership, it's about following. Okay, I'm going to pause there and say that again because that seems like a really simple statement, but it's absolutely critical. Your inclusion on any high functioning team depends on your ability to follow before you lead. And this understanding helps you be included and eventually to create and manage some of the highest functioning teams in the world. So let's look at it. The growth and progression of teams is a process, right? This doesn't happen in one step. It's a series of steps that has to occur in this order for this to actually work. And the first step is individual performance. So the first step of being included on a high functioning team is that you have to perform at an absolutely high level, right? Think about it. If you have a team that functions at a high level and you are not individually performing at a high level, is that team going to include you? Not only no, but hell no. Your individual performance has to be at the highest levels. You have to provide significant value that's judged worthy by the team and fulfill a key purpose. And that all happens on the individual level first. When you can fulfill a key purpose to a team on an individual level, and it isn't about doing it once, it's about doing that consistently, right? You have to consistently perform at a high level. When you can consistently perform at a high level, creating significant value that is assessed as being worthy by the team, you get to be included on that team. And that's the door into eventually high performance leadership, right? If you can't be around other high functioning individuals, you will never be able to lead high functioning individuals. So individual performance is first. Once you can consistently perform individually at a high level, creating significant value, having that value be assessed as worth, and this all goes back to one of the earlier videos we did about creating value for a team. So if you haven't seen it, go back and watch that. But there's a progression of being of value, having that value be assessed as being of worth by the team, and fulfilling a key purpose. When you do that, you get to open the door to being on that high functioning team. And only then can you progress to the next level. So after you have consistently performed at a high level as an individual, only then can you start to lead, right? And this fundamentally makes sense when we look at it, right? If you are a poor individual performer, is anyone going to put you in charge of anything? And the answer is no, right? Core, hardcore, valuable individual performance leads to the ability to lead. And now this concept of leadership is unique, right? Let's think of it like this. Say you and I are in a room and it's on fire. And in that room, there's 4, 5, 6 other people, right? We got a whole bunch of people in this room. It's on fire. There's windows on one side of the room. There's a door on the other side of the room, right? If the room's on fire and I run over to the windows and I start banging a chair off the windows, but they won't break, and someone else in the room goes over to the door and opens the door and yells, "Follow me." Do you follow me trying to go through a window that's broken, or do you follow the individual that's making an effective choice in that moment with the open door? So all of you run through the open door following that individual. Let's just call him Bob, right? So you follow Bob through the door, you go out into the hallway, and it's a T hallway, so you can go left or right. And Bob goes left, and there's a fire down that hallway. So you go out, Bob saying, "Follow me," into the fire, and Tim says, "Follow me," down the right side where it's nice and open. All of you are going to follow Tim through that right side down the open hallway. But wait a minute, we just said Bob's the leader because he opened the door, you followed him through the door. Leadership is not about a title. Leadership is all about creating effective action by making effective choices, right? Bob made the effective choice of opening door, saying you to follow him, then the ineffective choice of going down the hallway that's on fire, whereas Tim made a more effective choice, said, "Follow me down the hallway that's not on fire." And we'll automatically follow Tim down the hallway that's not on fire. So leadership isn't about a title. Leadership is all about creating effective action based on good choices. So that second progression from individual hardcore effective performance into leadership is relatively easy, because if you're in the practice of making effective choices and producing worthwhile results and fulfilling solid purpose for the team, others are automatically going to mirror your actions. They're going to follow you. That's leadership at its core fundamental principle. It's all about making choices and creating an environment for others to make choices that are effective. So the first step to progression on being on a high functioning team is hardcore effective individual performance. If you do that effectively on the team, that's going to produce an environment where you can then lead others to do it simply by continuing to make good choices. Now, here is the next and very fine progression. Once you get to the point where your individual performance is good and others are consistently following you, what's going to happen inevitably is you're going to be asked to manage other people. Management comes through positional authority, right? Getting a title, actually having the ability to, with direction, create other leaders. So that's a big distinction change, right? Leadership is about taking effective action and evoking effective action in others, whereas management is all about creating leaders, right? Creating a space where others can make effective choices and take effective actions. And that is a huge distinction change from what is commonly understood around management and leadership. It really turns it on its head, right? Management, having positional authority and creating leaders, is much more important than taking effective action alone and evoking effective action in others. So this progression that you see, right? Individual performance leads to leadership where others automatically follow you because you're making good choices. And eventually you're giving a management position where your role is now to create leaders, right? So first we take effective action, then we inspire effective action. Then it's our job to create others that inspire effective action. Right? You can see how this builds on each other. From there, we go into the next piece, which is creating teams, right? And this is a fine distinction, right? First, we get on the team. Then we take such effective actions that others take effective actions. We're, in essence, leading. And then we get some sort of positional authority where it's our job to manage and create leaders on a team. And the next progression, which is a really cool one, is where it's your job to create the team, right? To actually create the structure, the processes, and the space for others to manage and create leaders. And you can see how in your individual performance, your individual ambitions for life, this builds on each other, right? If I have big ambitions for life, individual performance is not alone going to make it, right? I'm going to have to lead others to support me. I'm going to have to coordinate action with others. If I have big ambitions for life, my job is not to just inspire actions, right? To lead. My job is to create leaders. When I can start to create leaders and stack these teams, I can create unbelievable results in the world. So we've got individual performance leading to leadership, pun intended, into management, which is the creation of leaders, into creation of teams, which is the creation of managers that create leaders that inspire good individual performance. The last piece is one of the most important pieces and one of the hardest pieces, and that's teaching the ability to create teams. And what's amazing about that is that's where I am, right? That's what I'm doing right now. I've gotten to the point where I can create high functioning teams at will, and being able to now teach all of you how to do so, right? How to progress from individual performance to leadership to management to the creation of teams fulfills my purpose of continuing to bring these lessons and these key principles to all of you. And so that's where I challenge you here. Being able to take this lesson, right? This progression, which is very different from what's taught, right? What's taught is leadership is all about being George Washington in that rowboat across the Potomac with his knee up, right? Leading the way. When in reality, what he was able to do was consistently teach others how to create high functioning teams and manage those teams and create leadership at all levels on those teams, right? That's what creates significant change in this world. So for all of you, I want you to remember this progression, right? Individual performance leads to leadership by nature, right? When you're the highest performing individual on a team, others are going to mirror and follow your actions. That's leading. And then from there, being given position authority to manage others, you are now in the position to be able to create leaders. When you can create leaders, you can enable high performance from an individual. Once you get really good at managing others, your job is to be able to stack those things on top of each other by creating more high functioning teams. And the ultimate thing is to be able to teach how to create high functioning teams. So my challenge for you is to be able to take this information, right, this particular lesson, and bring it back to those that you rely on for success, right, your team, either in your professional world, in your private world, in your family, and be able to show them how this progression of individual performance consistent performance and coordination of action with others, which is leadership, can lead to management, positional authority, which then leads to the ability to create teams and ultimately to the ability to teach others to create teams. Another thing to think about with this is this sentence right at the bottom. The knowledge, skills, and behaviors differ at each level, right? So what enables you, the knowledge and skills and behaviors that enable you to have high performance will not make you a good leader. The knowledge, skills, and behaviors that will make you a good leader will not make you a good manager. The knowledge, skills, and behaviors that will make you a good manager will not enable you to create teams. And the knowledge, skills, and behaviors that will enable you to teach others to create teams are not the same that will enable you to create teams. That's why you need some guidance. So these lessons, these videos on this channel will continue to give you these fundamental principles. And within that, if you want to get there quicker, go ahead and contact us. There'll be a link in the description where you can contact us and we can show you how to shortcut this process, either through our classes, our digital classes, or individual coaching, to be able to give you the absolutely critical principles that you need to not only be on high-functioning teams, lead high-functioning teams, manage those teams, eventually create those teams, and ultimately teach others how to create those teams. I'm Larry Yatch. Thank you for sticking with me through this lesson, and continue to join us through subscribing, through notifying, click the notifications options for any time that we come out with a new video, because as you can see with all the videos that we do, there is no fluff. This is nothing but hardcore content, one after another, and we're absolutely honored to have you on our team.